Hey,
Hello, is this
hello.
Fred Wesley?
This is me. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Fine, fine.
This is Dustin from KMSU. We're ready to interview you.
Okay, I'm ready to be interviewed.
All right, I'm here with my co-host, Ton.
Hey, Fred, how you doing?
How you doing, Tom?
I'm good, man. Good to have you on the phone.
Good to be here.
All right.
It's good to be anywhere.
Well, we will ask you firstly how you got started playing music.
Okay. Well, I've always played in music. My father was a musician. My grandmother was a musician. I always knew that I was going to be a musician some kind of way, some kind of capacity. I always knew that I was going to be a musician. So I was in music from day one. Day one, I was raised up right next to a jukebox. Played blues, and I played the piano. I took piano lessons from my grandmother, and I played in my father's little school band. I played cymbals in the band at 3 years old, and a little triangle in the band, and I always was in music, always.
How did you end up joining up with James Brown?
Now that's another story. You know, I always wanted to get out of Mobile into a larger market like New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or something where I could be discovered as a great trombone player, you know. So the job with James Brown came along, and I took it because it was a way out of Mobile. I figured I could ride with James Brown for a while and be discovered as a great trombone player when I got to New York or Los Angeles, somewhere like that, you know. But life takes its own turn. I became band leader with James Brown, and known as a great funky trombone player. You know, became known as a soloist. You know, behind Maceo. Maceo would solo for me, and then I was the soloist. So it just kind of turned around to where I stayed with James for 7 years. So that just changed my whole life.
Yeah, I bet you wouldn't think a person would first go into it thinking of James Brown as kind of a stepping stone. How did that end up kind of evolving, or what was it like working with him and all that?
Well, you know, I was studying jazz. You know, my great passion was to be a great jazz trombone player like J.J. Johnson or Curtis Fuller or somebody like that. You know, I never thought that I would continue with James Brown and be his band leader and stuff like that, you know. But it was an education working with him. I kind of looked down on that kind of music for a while because you know, I was into jazz, and that was kind of blues and rhythm and blues, and it was kind of a lesser music to me at that time, you know, because I just used him as a way to get out of Mobile. But you know, the more I got into it, James Brown started using me to arrange his music and create his sound, and he taught me things like nothing is until it is, and then it is, you know. So I had to abandon all the rules I had learned and about music, and I learned to create my own rules and create rules that he created, and it just changed my whole mind about music and how to create music.
Yeah, when you listen back to those albums, it sounds like definitely the rules were kind of thrown out. Was the recording process, did you just kind of push play and then jam out and see what happened, or how did that work?
Well, not all the time. Sometimes we, well, like in the case of Doing It to Death, the great, that was the big hit that I had. It was, that was kind of just jam out. James Toll gave people their part, you know, drummer, the bass player, and the guitar player, and you just gave them a part, and you just let it jam from then on, you know. But a lot of the music was constructed, you know. He would give me parts, and I would write them down, and we used the New York studio band sometimes, and sometimes he used his own band, the Road Band, and so some things that really took a lot of time to construct and to pattern out. You know, we didn't exactly know what it was going to be until he came in and put his stamp on it. You know, but it was kind of organized at first. You know.
And we've always heard that James Brown was kind of strict in the studio or on the stage. Is that the case, or how did you find that?
Well, he knew what he wanted, and he got what he wanted. If a person didn't do what he wanted to do, they would find themselves without a job or something, But he was strict in the way that he knew what he wanted, and he got what he wanted.
So then what ended up making you decide to leave James Brown, and then how did that flow into working with like George Clinton, Parliament, and that sort of thing?
Well, it was always there for me. Basie had told me that he would make a way for me to play with P-Funk, if I ever decided I wanted it. I didn't need it at the time. I didn't want it at the time. But when James Brown got to the point that he was copying people, and I didn't believe in that he should copy people, and James had to have everything his way. So it was either copy people or leave, So I just left because I knew I had the P-Funk thing waiting in the wings for me. So I left James and I went with Basie and George Clinton and P-Funk.
Yeah, and a lot of those albums are kind of similar to some of the James Brown ones in the fact that it sounds like you guys just kind of got together and jammed out some stuff. I mean, was it similar as far as that goes?
Well, the process was we would do a rhythm track. Usually Basie and Bernie and Gary Shatter and some other people would put together the rhythm tracks, and then I'll add the horns on top of that, and George would come in with the vocals, and then George would do what he called quality control, where he would go in the studio and sit and he would mix some rhythm out, some horns in, some things like that, and vocals here and horns there, and keyboards here, in and out, and until he came up with a masterpiece. All his creations were what I call masterpieces, and George Clinton would create these masterpieces, but it would be out of what we all had done before, But he would add stuff in, take stuff in, put stuff out, just quality control. He would just mix it the way he wanted it, and it came out to be masterful pieces. Yeah.
Well, did you ever think that when you were making these albums with James Brown or Parliament that they would go on to have such a huge effect on the hip-hop community? You guys kind of created a whole different culture with that.
I didn't even know about hip-hop during the time I was creating this music. It came along later, and I had no idea that it would last this long. I feel like Pass the Peas and Give Me Some More. I thought those were some ridiculous songs. I just hoped my people in Mobile wouldn't hear these songs and think I had lost my mind, doing something like Give Me Some More, putting it out on record. I never thought they would be a hit, but they were hits, and they have lasted until today, and they probably will last forever. I had no idea that these songs would last this long, and all the other tunes I did with James Brown, Soul Power, Damn Right I'm Somebody, Big Payback, they last for a long time. I had no idea at the time that they would last. In fact, I let a lot of music get away. If I had known that it was going to last this long, I would have kept some of the written music. I don't know where the music is, but it's very valuable today if I could find it. I had no idea.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the first guys, the rappers that came out, sampled a lot of your stuff, and then people nowadays sample their stuff, so it just kind of lives on forever.
It lives on forever, And James told me that he said one day this music will take care of your family for forever. The royalties I get from the song. I thought he was out of his mind. I didn't say, yeah, sure, Mr. Brown, I know this music will take, because I thought he was just patting himself on the back. But actually, this music does take on the rappers. Sample my music, the other people sample their music, and on and on and on, and the music lasts. The checks keep coming. I don't know from where, but the checks keep coming, and he was correct. It is taking care of my family until this day.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. Can you discuss when you kind of went out on your own with the Horny Horns?
Well, I wasn't really on my own. George Clinton produced the Horny Horn, and we did a few albums. A lot of George Clinton was in control there. You know, I didn't really stretch out. I did a few tunes of my own, like Lickety Split and Foreplay and Circle of Motion. So some of those tunes were mine, but most of them were George Clinton, just under a new name. You know, they call it the Horny Horn. Between Two Sheets, I had nothing to do with that. You know, and all those kind of songs were his songs. But it gave me a name, a bigger name, and I went along with it. We did 3 albums, and they compiled another album to come from it. But it wasn't my own stuff, so to speak. Until, because you know, George Clinton thinks innovatively and crazy. You know, I kind of think conservatively and right down straight down the line. You know, but those albums were George Clinton's album actually, and they just had my name on it in the Horny Horns. You know.
Okay. Well, then you said you consider yourself to be more of a straight artist or a jazz artist. When you went on to work with the Count Basie Orchestra, was that something you preferred over that because it got back to more of your jazz roots, or?
Well, yeah, you know, Count Basie was a gig I couldn't resist because it was a gig I had always wanted. You know, just to prove to myself that I could play with Count Basie. You know, it was a sit down, read the part, phrase the music the way he phrased it, kind of a gig. You know, and I was real proud to be in that band, and that was one of the proudest moments of my career, just to be in the band, you know. But I couldn't. I had gotten used to rock and roll money, so to speak, you know, and the Count Basie band paid jazz money, you know, which is much less. So I had to leave. But that was a year that I spent that I really enjoyed and I really was proud of.
Well, what kind of stuff have you been up to lately? Do you have any upcoming projects you're working on, or?
Yeah. My later albums have been sort of straight ahead, sort of jazzy, sort of funky. I don't know. It's all mixed up now. You know, I started out a strictly jazz player, ended up a funky player. Now I'm back to jazz and funk. And I've added klezmer to my repertoire. I'm in a band now called Abraham Inc. And it consists of David Krakow, who's a great klezmer clarinet player, So-Called, who's a rapper from Montreal. He plays piano and accordion and different stuff. And we have done one album called Tweet Tweet that's very successful. It's got a little klezmer, a little funk, a little jazz. It's kind of a blendation of a lot of different genres of music. And it's been very well accepted. And we're working on another album now to try to further that blendation theory along, you know, try to create a new music. So I'm just in the process of just staying active and trying to do something different.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything you want to leave us with before we let you go?
I have a book that chronicles my life as a musician up until the time when I left Maceo, and I think it's a very interesting read if your listeners and you and your co-host could get that book and read it. I think you'd be very happy with it. It's a good book. It's probably the only one I'll ever write. I've only written one book, but it's a pretty good book. I enjoyed writing it, and I think you'll enjoy reading it too.
Awesome.
Well, Mr. Wesley, I got to say, you are on almost all of our all-time favorite albums, so it's definitely an honor to have you on the show.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
It's an honor to be here, too.
All right.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks a lot, Fred.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.